Hey guys, what's going on? When I'm not trucking around or YouTubing, I'm hanging out watching Life is Good on the beaches of the world. Come on.
Good morning. Working on my fashion, matching hats with shirts. My girlfriend's trying to teach me a little bit about fashion. You know, as a guy, we just wear a normal old hat with an outfit. Just have a favorite hat we like to wear, throw it on it. Don't care what it goes with, but apparently the hat has to match your wardrobe, just like women's shoes should match their wardrobe. But anyway, so I come to you today to help with rate negotiating. The key factors involved when starting out negotiating rates. One, you have to know your cost per mile, what it costs you to operate your truck. Loaded, empty, doesn't matter. Your operating cost will vary slightly from loaded versus empty by just a few pennies, but your operating cost doesn't change because your operating cost involves your monthly truck payments, your insurance, your fuel cost, whether it be 40 cents or 44 cents a mile for your fuel versus empty being loaded. All that takes into consideration. Household expenses take a play in that, but we can just lump that down into driver pay. What it costs you to live off of is what your driver pay should be based on. As an owner operator, you know, some guy, well, I want to make $1,000 a week. It's not always feasible, you know. But if it's not costing you $1,000 a week to live, then you don't really have to pay yourself $1,000 a week. That's a good baseline, right? No doubt. Because as a company driver, you can go make $1,000, $1,100, $1,200. There's going to be some trouble. Oh, I'm making $1,800 a week. Well, good for you, dude. Keep your day job because you got it going on, you know. But a good baseline is $1,000, $1,200. Roughly. I mean, it's been a while since I've been a company driver, but I would imagine it's decent. I was doing $1,100, $1,200, $1,300 a week home every night, every other night with the local gig I had. It was a good job. Owner operator can't say you'll do that after all your expenses, but peace of mind and freedom go a long ways. And put money back into the business goes a long ways, and saving money up goes a long ways. Because here, you know, as a owner operator, I was saving $20,000 a year to what we would call our maintenance fund. I never actually used it for maintenance, but as a company driver, I wasn't doing that. I was just blowing the money, I guess. But if you can do your due diligence and do 401ks or profit sharing or whatever the company that you work for sets up, that would be highly recommended. But as a company driver, I never did it. So that's why I remained owner operator, you know. Because I was going to get out of trucking before I bought that big Peterbilt, and I went looking at local jobs and warehousing jobs. It just didn't really pay anything. You know, my standard of living from driving is a certain level. It would take a while to adjust to come back down to normal American warehouse working wages. So, but then I took a look around, looked at it. I mean, you know, I could have done it, but what I realized is that I wasn't saving $20,000 a year prior. So I went and bought the big Peterbilt and the fancy truck, and then I enjoyed trucking, and I made a lot more money with that Peterbilt and that fancy trailer than I did with my used. Well, we're way off topic. Used paid for Volvo. The topic today is rate negotiating. Like I said, so you go into knowing your cost per mile. Let's just say it's $1.40, or if it's $1.60, whatever it is. I just threw that number off the top of the head. That wasn't my cost per mile driving my Pete. Then my cost per mile driving that Pete was bouncing anywhere from 98 to $1.10, right? I was always north of $2.20 to $3 a mile every load I hauled because I knew where to go and what to do. So if your cost per mile is $1.40, so you see loads on the board that are paying $1.30. Well, you don't want to do that because you're not making any money. You're not gaining any headway. A lot of people say, well, we're covering our cost of fuel to relocate. Well, the problem is, yes, that's true because your fuel cost is probably 35 to 45 cents, depending on what kind of truck you're driving and how you drive that truck. So, yeah, you're covering your fuel costs, but you're not really making any money. You keep doing that, you're going to eventually go broke because your cost per mile is $1.40. You can't continue to haul $1.30 per mile freight and survive very long. There's a lot of people out there doing it right now, but it won't be long. They're all going to go under. Okay, the markets are currently flooded with a lot of people that jumped into the industry last year, the last year and a half, because things were so good. They jumped in. Now they're struggling, and they're driving their rates down. So the rates are being driven down. So if you continue to haul that load out of Florida for 80 cents or 90 cents a mile just to cover your fuel cost, keep in mind you are going broke. Okay. Well, I can go up here and make $2.50. Well, you shouldn't have went down there to come back out for 80. You should have stayed up here making the $2.50. The problem is everybody goes there, or not just Florida, any coastal region or Texas or Denver, Colorado. The problem is people go there and they're coming out cheap. Well, if they'd stop coming out cheap and let the crap sit there on the dock, then the rates would come up there as well. The rates are down there in those areas because people are moving it for that to cover their fuel cost back out. And there's a lot of people out there that do that, covering fuel cost. I don't do that. I don't operate. I'll bounce empty because it costs me 40 cents a mile to run my truck empty. I'll suck it up and pay it before I pay them to move their freight. I mean, if their freight's $1.30 and it costs me $1.40 to operate, basically you're paying them to move their freight. I just don't do it. I don't agree with it. So that's the number one thing with freight negotiating is knowing your cost per mile, what it costs you to operate. Don't ever drop below that. I don't cover fuel costs. Second thing is actually knowing the market rates. On the DAT board, I'll put a link into the description there for Sammy. You can go check out Make Sense Trucking. Check out he does a thing on DAT board every Monday. It's a good training thing for you. Go check that out and learn the market rates. So you kind of see the 15-day average or 90-day average, whichever board you may have. It's kind of a good tool to go by. But then again, we don't want to, that just keeps us from looking like an idiot and say, well, I'll do that load for $5 a mile when the 15-day rates are $2.50 a mile. You don't want to go in there asking for $5. They're going to laugh you out of the neighborhood. So know the area you're running. Know the market rates for that area that you're running, that lane that you're running, and your cost per mile. It gives you something to shoot for, right? So when you call the broker, you always want to start out the conversation with what is the weight and the commodity. You always ask what the commodity is. Ask about as much details as you can about the load, what the kind of product, what the packaging. Is it palletized? Is it floor load? Is it super sacks? Is it totes? Because if it's liquid totes, it requires tanker endorsement. You don't want to drive 100 miles to get a load that's paying $3 a mile. You get there and find out you don't have the right endorsement on your license or the right equipment to haul the load. Well, you need a logistics post, a plated van, whatever kind of equipment you need. Ask all the questions you can ask up front. It makes it look like you know what you're doing. You've been in this game a while, and you care about the products you're hauling. So always establish what the weight and the commodity is, and the type of equipment needed to move that product. If the commodity comes back and says, "Well, it's toilet paper," then you want to find out, well, who is the receiver? Is it Walmart? Is it Dollar General? Is it Sam's Club? Is it HT Hackney? Is it Audi? Find out who the receiver is, because you kind of, if you've been out here long enough, you know what receiver takes time to unload. Hold on one second, please. Okay, so yes, should go back and rewind and watch what I just said, because I had a 30-minute phone conversation there. Knowing your cost per mile, knowing the average lane rates for the area you are in, discussing the weight, commodity, who the consignee is, receiver, is all vital keys and roles to help you negotiate your rate. Never ask the broker, well, what do you have on that? Let's say $1,200, and a guy said, oh my God, that's $2 a mile, I'll take it. You just might have left $1,000 on the table and not even know it, So never let the broker tell you what they have in it. Never. You always want to open that door first. Ask them all those questions. It gets them off guard because they're just so used to people. What's the rate on that? And don't have a clue what the product is. They don't even care. We care. As an owner operator, it's your job to care about what you move, haul, and transport in your trailer. So once all that's established, so that's a 500-mile load. You say, well, I can do that for $1,650, right? And they say, oh, well, I don't have but $1,200 in it. I don't think I could do it less than $1,400. And they come back and they say, well, okay, I can go $1,275. So you got some, kind of opens the floor. You start up here, they're down here, and you kind of meet somewhere in the middle. Never accept, well, I'll do it for $1,500. Now, I can't. All I can do it for is $1,200. Okay, I'll do it for that. You just probably left $50 to $100 on the table. So never. So that's always asked weight, commodity, customers. Ask as many questions about the load as you can, and then you start the negotiating table at higher than what you're willing to do it for. Hopefully $300 to $400 more than what you're willing to take, and then come down. Okay, because they're going to do the same. They're going to start $300 to $400 below, and they're going to come up every time. So anytime that you just call and say, well, what are you moving that for? And they say, oh, $1,200. Okay, I'll take it. No, we don't do that, because you just left all that money on the table. I promise you. And if they don't want to budge, okay, man, have a good day. Unless it's north of your cost per mile, and it's in the market rates, and that's what the freight's moving for in that area, and you're happy with it, and you can survive, then by all means take it. But there's a load after load after load. You've got every tool known to man. Well, at least my drivers do. They have all the apps. They can haul every load in the country that's available to anyone on the boards. We can move it. So don't get offended because they don't want to come above $1,200. Okay, so thank you and have a good day, and we'll call the next one because you'll eventually get your rate. It is there. It is doable. Oh, by the way, y'all see Lieutenant Dan is having a sleepover with Bubba. Bubba has came to visit Lieutenant Dan. So Lieutenant Dan is company. Lieutenant Dan does have legs. Somebody said, Lieutenant Dan ain't got no legs. Well, Lieutenant Dan got new legs a couple of years ago for Christmas. So he's standing. Bubba, at this time, does not have legs. So Bubba needs some legs. So anyway, we'll get into a discussion about Lieutenant Dan and Bubba one day. We'll tell you all about Lieutenant Dan. We'll tell you about Bubba. That's a video for another day. So you guys, thanks for watching. Hope that idiotic rambling about freight rates helped you somewhat. I always asked weight, commodity, and customers, and you set the rate. Do not let the broker Don't never ask the broker, what are you moving it for? Because so many guys are just asking and taking it, leaving a lot of money on the table. Don't leave the money on the table. Do your negotiating. Know your markets. Get all you can get. You guys have a good day. Thanks for watching. We will see you on the next Idiotic Rambling video. We are out. Thank you.
When I'm not playing my bagpipes, I'm watching Life is Good. Come on now.